Bob Stewart, and I'm the CTO with MyWay.com, and I'm here today to review with you the architecture of MyWay.com and talk to you a little bit about what it is that we do and where it is that we're going. At MyWay, we've taken a distinctly different viewpoint of what the internet is about. The way you would consider this is if you were to look at the internet as spectrum, you have the micropipettes of wireless all the way down to the fire hose end of broadband. And to date, all of the energies and efforts that have been put into building the website have been focused on a small slice of this spectrum that runs 28.8 to 56K. This slice out of the spectrum is kind of a web-centric view. The web-centric view is one that's no longer enough in light of the progression of new technologies sweeping over the internet. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if you were to look at technology adoption life cycles, as are covered in Jeffrey Moore's book, he would say that there's basically an early adopter community, a pragmatist community, and a laggard community. And in the web space, MyWay has clearly bridged the early adopter community, but the likes of Yahoo and MSN and AOL are the ones that have really swept the meat of the market, the middle, the sweet spot. What we're looking at now is in order to go win, what we have to do is continue to make significant investments in the slice out of the middle. In other words, that desktop slice. And that's all trying to increment our value and get closer and closer to the leaders in the market space, but really from a follower's position. So now the question becomes, well, how does one get beyond that? How do you pass the others? And you pass the others by looking and realizing there are additional market opportunities, and that those market opportunities are getting larger and larger, and they're sweeping over the populace, and that's this boom that we've seen of the internet, and it's going to continue. The example I'll give you is one of our key customers, Bell South, tells us that they have just shy of 1 million ISP customers, yet when looking at how many digital cell phone customers they have, that's just shy of 10 million. So it's a 10x kind of a growth. So if we look at some of these next waves like wireless and broadband that are going to sweep over the market, we need to go and make significant inroads into those early adopter spaces. And the way we do that is by making investments into these spaces with the intent in mind of changing our trajectory as a company from one that delves this way headlong into the space to one that actually brings us up so that we're playing with the pragmatists like Yahoo, like AOL, like MSN. So we've been making significant investments, and the way we've done that is by treating the internet more as spectrum and less as just a web-centric view. In other words, how do we make investments towards delivering broadband solutions into this early adopter space so that we're capable of entering these markets with the competitors? How do we make investments in the wireless space so that we're a winner in that space as well? At the end of the day, if we were to look at the total number of customers that are competing with us in the .com desktop-centric view, there's tens of thousands of competitors. If we look at how many competitors do we have on the broadband view, there's thousands of competitors. If we look in the wireless view, there's literally only hundreds of competitors today. And if we, as a company, begin to look at an aggregate, in other words, how do we build a platform for delivery of solutions across the entire spectrum of internet, then we're literally in the tens of competitors. So the key strategy here has been to be smart about where we invest in advanced technology and treat our portal as a platform. Now, how do we do that? The way we've accomplished this is to look at the system has a 3-layer architecture. The center layer is our database. Now, our database is built on Oracle and sits on top of a set of Oracle parallel server clusters with advanced multi-master replication connecting those clusters with an identical set of that farm running in a hot standby to the production environment. What that does gives us the 5 nines availability of our service, so that if we were to lose a node or lose a cluster, we never are too weighted in one side or the other, and we're capable of handling that traffic. Around the database cluster is a logic layer. The logic layer that we've selected is Java. So all of our business logic is written in Java. And then around the logic layer is a display layer. And the display layer that we've selected is Microsoft IIS ASP. They're active server pages. Now, this today is a 100 compact ProLiant 1850Rs with 24 ProLiant 7000s in the back end. And what we have today is a physical 2-tier, logical 3-tier. This business logic layer that sits in the center here is the area where all of the processing is done on the web pages. So we don't actually glue the pages together using the Java. What we do is glue the pages with ASP and deliver the business logic with Java. To date, the MyWay environment has always been under lock and key. So what I mean by that is we've always had 100% of the source code control. We've never let anybody into the environment. And this was really just to get it stabilized, to make sure that it was rock solid. The MyWay environment today is one that was designed for competing in the highly personalizable portal space. It is brand subjugatable. In other words, you can put somebody else's logo on there. And the MyWay name itself was not designed to be a frontline brand in and of itself. In other words, we're not going out to compete with Yahoo. We're not trying to get our brand splashed everywhere on the internet. Rather, MyWay, you put on your consumer hat for a minute and think about this. You're now able to get Bank Boston MyWay. You're able to get Bell South MyWay. You're able to get Compaq MyWay. So the consumers look at it as a brand enhancer. Oh, I'm able to get this service my way. The MyWay service is fairly interesting in as much as the pages that are created by this display layer are glued together with ASP, but that the objects that display on the MyWay service are representations of enterprise Java beans. So the EJBs that are running in this middle business logic layer are actually instantiated on the page as the page is drawing itself. So if you ever go to the MyWay site at www.myway.com, you can see the page come up. You'll see that there's a big mobile front door, and you can actually watch the site draw itself in a columnar fashion, roughly like so. So these columns, though not quite to scale, would be representative of the 1-column, 3-column, and 2-column templates that make up MyWay service. Now, this is actually an EJB that's installing another EJBs, and that inside of these EJBs are additional objects that inherit the characteristics of this EJB. So this one knows, oh, I'm to display stocks. So CMGI at 180. I know that really to display that in a one-column format, I need to pick up the one-column template and display it out that way. If, however, you were to take the same object and drag it, drop it into this column, it would say, okay, I'm now inheriting a 3-column template, and I want to display myself appropriately. So in that case, it might show itself as a graph, showing the explosive growth. Now, one of the more exciting ideas behind MyWay is the idea of a container object. And a container object sits around another object into which you can drag additional objects. So let's say over here we had a news object. You could drag this object into here and then get news about those stocks. So the concept behind MyWay is that it is an object-oriented site. There are additional objects such as the menuing system, and the menus that come up that you can select can move objects up, can move objects down, can allow you to remove objects, and that these objects are actually EJs instantiating themselves into the user session. One of the more exciting things that we've done with MyWay is we actually, as you drill down into the site, click, click, they say to make everything 3 clicks away. We all know that's next to impossible when you have a really robust site. One of the exciting pieces is if you drill down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clicks deep, you can find an object, say object A, and then go to its menu and say, I want to move that object. It'll ask you, where do you want to move it? And I say, well, I want to move it to the top page. And the next thing you know, if you go back to the top, object A will now be instantiated on that page. So one of the exciting pieces about this is you don't have to pre-cook all of the variations that a particular company might want. You create one portal and then let every employee basically pull up the objects that they find themselves using more often. Maybe that's order status if you're order entry. Maybe it's bug fixes and notifications if you're a customer service person. Those may be located in disparate sections of the site, but you as the deliverer of the solution don't have to pre-cook all the variations that could possibly come out. Rather, the user goes down, selects those objects, promotes them to the top. It becomes personalized to that person. Okay, so how do you go about doing that? Well, one of the first things that we're doing with MyWay is doing a better job documentation of the APIs that exist between this JB layer and the display layer. In other words, all this really is ASP code that's calling discrete objects out of the database. And by wrapping a full set of documentation around that using the UML standard, we have a fully documented object hierarchy with an API that you can then write ASP and execute it to change the entire look and feel and layout of this front door. This is the first step that we've taken towards piercing and allowing customers and partners like yourselves to get into our environment and affect change on behalf of customers. So this is really, when we're looking at the MyWay environment, this can be done either from the perspective of an ASP, in other words, you make the changes to the code and we run them on our farm, or we have the potential solution of delivering this code out to you on a CD. You would install it on a farm behind their firewalls and then use a hybrid of the two. In other words, a company might have a proprietary system for keeping track of employee data where they don't want that information coming outside of the firewall, yet they want to provide their employees also with the latest news and sports information, or maybe not sports, maybe it's news and stock information and weather. And by doing that, you can hybrid these environments together. The way that works is all of the objects within the MyWay environment, as I showed that they can be routed not only up and down and left and right on an X and Y axis, but also up and down within the site on a Z axis. These objects are also capable of being syndicated. And what does that mean? Well, syndicating objects says I select an object and I get a snippet of code. It's really just a little bit of JavaScript code. And I cut, copy, and paste that into any web page anywhere on the internet. And it will actually force this object to then instantiate itself onto that page. So the idea here is one that we came up with for MyWay, which was how do we take objects on MyWay's site and make them viral? How can I say I want to take this object and send it to my mom versus I want to take this object and put it on my website? The put it on my website was really just a byproduct of the ability to syndicate the object, to somebody else's experience. Again, back to the mom example would be, okay, let's say that this object A was, really a picture of, the grandchild. Sending it to mom would allow her to have this picture of her grandchild on her website. Now, if she was within the MyWay experience, in other words, if she already had a MyWay account, then what that ends up being is an session routing. So, in other words, she's over here, maybe in California doing a session. I'm in Maine doing a session, and we actually ping back and forth. There's a whole inter-session routing and inter-session messaging mechanism that allows you to do things like move objects from one person's session to another person's session. Or some of the more creative uses of this have been to build instant messaging clients. This inter-session routing is also an inter-server session layer. So that, as I described to you before, with over 100 web servers here in the farm, what happens if I'm on this server, but then that server starts to having some problems, and the system says, oh, I need to put you on a different server? Well, our inter-server session communication layer actually handles all of that. So that's a little piece of a glimpse of the power of what you can do in this type of an environment. Some of the next steps for us will be to open this system up further and further as time progresses, allowing individuals and corporations and developers within corporations to exploit more and more of technology. This will be obviously complemented by a ramped up service offering that will get progressively stronger and stronger as time goes on. So the idea that of providing the level of support that's necessary to successfully fulfill on an engagement is obviously one that's paramount in our mind. In other words, if you're out there and you're trying to build a solution, you can't do that if there's not somebody to answer the phone back here at MyWay. So what we're doing is setting up a series or portfolio of services and service level agreements that allow you to say, geez, I found a bug here in your EJB, I think, and I need to have a patch made for that. So the ability to buy a service contract and get 7x24, 4-hour guaranteed response times, and that type of an offering is what we are currently ramping up in support of the opening up of our portal. So, there's a lot of great synergies in what we have here as a CMGI company to use this as one of CMGI's infrastructure plays to deliver a portal platform that is global, that can handle multilingual, multi-byte character sets, and can be treated either as a standalone installation or as an application service provider framework from which you can either select feeds and use them within other installations or indeed actually run that installation on simply a hybrid or a changed version of the existing service. Just like today, if you were to go to compact.myway.com or were to go to bellsouth.myway.com, you would see two very different experiences, really all using the same framework, and that was done when we had it all under lock and key. So now go there and take a look at it and think of what could be done if you were allowed to change the entire look and feel of the site on a go-forward basis. One of the exciting things about the MyWay site is that the site is completely wirelessly enabled. What I'm going to show you here is the MyWay site currently running on over 100 web servers in its wireless mode. All of the objects are also scalable up and down and into this space. So right here we just came onto the site powered by MyWay, and as you can see it's got weather, news, stocks, yellow pages, directions, lottery, horoscopes, sign out, and sign in if you were already signed in, out. The interesting part here is that it's completely integrated with your portal experience. If you make a change here, it changes your portal experience. If you make a change in your portal experience, it changes here. So if you were to look up a stock quote here, you'd find it added to your watch list on the portal. If you were to look at a new weather for your local city, your phone would automatically be geared to show you the weather for your city. So here we'll take a look at for example, stocks, and by selecting that, it's going to take us in. I can go look at my stock because it already has the portfolio, or I can go and say get a quote from a specific area. So here we'll go C, and then M, and then G, and then I, and click OK. And sure enough, it's going to send that request out across the network. It's going to go into the MyWay service and then immediately return the delayed stock quote at 124.5 up to 10.25. So this is an example of technology that's been deployed on the MyWay platform. The total engagement from start to finish on taking objects such as the ones described here and getting them and making them wirelessly enabled was a project that took less than a month. In summary, you know, the MyWay portal platform is not only trying to look at the internet experience holistically from the perspective of spectrum, but also what do people do with it every day. As you know, in the morning you're going to get up and it's probably going to be something, you know, basically connected like the desktop. It's your alarm clock, and that is likely to be connected to your calendar and telling you what time to get up in order to make it to the meeting that you know you have to get to. And on your way, you know, you're going to access it. Now you're in a business mode. You're going to access directions in your car. So the wireless area in the in-car computing paradigm is there. And those objects that you're going to hear about during the course of the day, perhaps they're news things that you read on your portal in the office, and then say, well, I really would like more information about that, and get that object routed to your TV for viewing more details about the latest, you know, skirmishes in Kosovo when you get home. The idea behind MyWay is to provide infrastructure that allows consumers to be touched at any point along this, and all business people are ultimately consumers. So the idea here is that they're able to get their internet experience their way. They're able to utilize the platform in the manner that makes the most sense to them based on the environment that they're in. And if you go to MyWay today, you'll see that you have a home tab and you have a work tab. And in the future, you'll have a mobile tab. The integrated wireless experience with MyWay, and then even further forward looking, the integrated broadband experience via your television is all a part of the seamless access and ability to route objects back and forth along this platform and deliver out discrete pieces of functionality and componentry to business people, to consumers, and to consumers at the end of the day. Thanks.